She said she loved you, but then she disappeared, like you never mattered. And the truth is brutal. It wasn't love. It was projection. And you were just a mirror. She said she loved you again and again. She looked into your eyes with tears and said you were everything. She told you, "You're the first man I feel safe with." And you believed her, because you felt it too. A connection so intense, it felt like destiny. But then, something shifted. She pulled away, started fights out of nowhere, punished you for things you didn't do. And finally, she left. No explanation, no closure, just silence. And now, you sit there, wondering, what the hell happened? You gave her everything. Your love, your loyalty, your soul. So why did she destroy you? Here's the truth no one told you. It wasn't love. It was projection. Carl Jung called it the Anima, the unconscious feminine image every man carries inside. But what you experienced was the shadow side of that truth. She didn't love you. She loved what you represented. A symbol, a fantasy, a mirror. And once the illusion broke, so did the connection. Because some women don't seek love. They seek healing. They seek safety. They seek a place to offload their pain. And if you're not careful, you become that place. Not her partner, her emotional dumpster. Not her man, her medicine. But medicine is only needed until the symptoms fade. And that's when she disappears. Not because you failed, but because your purpose, in her story, was never love. It was emotional anesthesia. And that's why it hurts so much. Because a part of you still believes, if I love her enough, she'll stay. But what if her love was never real to begin with? It looked like love. It sounded like love. But something inside you felt off. She said you made her feel safe. She shared her past, her pain, her story. And you thought, this is connection. But what no one tells you is this. Not every bond is love. Some are wounds, recognizing each other. She didn't choose you for who you are. She chose you for how you made her forget, momentarily, the parts of herself she couldn't face. Because when someone hasn't healed, they don't fall in love. They fall into relief. And relief isn't real. It fades. It crumbles. You became her escape, her emotional anesthetic. And the moment she no longer needed to feel safe, she vanished. Not because you failed, but because her wounds were louder than your presence. And here's the hard truth. If someone chooses you just to feel less pain, they'll leave you the moment that pain returns. It's not your fault, but it becomes your responsibility to see it for what it is. Not love, not truth, but trauma, dressed as romance. And what happens next is what breaks most men. because they try to heal her wound by sacrificing themselves. But what she needed was never your healing. It was her own. She looked you in the eyes and said, "You're everything I've ever wanted." And in that moment, you believed her, because it felt deep, it felt real. It felt like you were finally seen. But here's what most men never realize. She didn't fall for you. She clung to you, because something in her wanted safety, not truth. She didn't love your strength. She needed your stability. Not to grow beside you, but to survive herself. There's a difference between being loved and being used to feel less broken. She leaned on you, but never truly looked at you. She said she felt held, but never held you when you needed it back. And the worst part? You kept giving more time, more presence, more pieces of yourself, thinking, if I just love her more, she'll finally see me. But she never did, because it was never about seeing you. It was about filling something inside her that was never your job to fix. And once she felt stable again, she let go, because her need had passed. And without the need, there was no connection left. She didn't leave because you changed. She left because she didn't need you anymore. That wasn't love. That was dependency. And until you understand the difference, you'll keep mistaking emotional rescue for real connection. You think she betrayed you, and in a way, she did. She walked away. She replaced you. She left questions that still haunt you in the dark. But the betrayal didn't start with you. It started long before you. Because a woman who truly loves herself doesn't destroy someone who was good to her. She betrays you only after she's betrayed her own soul. See, she wasn't choosing between you and him. She was choosing between growth and escape, truth and comfort, healing or avoidance. And when she walked away, it wasn't because you lacked something. It was because she lacked the courage to meet the kind of love that required her to rise. You showed her a reflection of what she could become, and that scared her more than anything. So she ran back to what was familiar, to the chaos, to the game, to the patterns she knew how to survive in. And here's the hardest truth. She didn't hurt you because she's evil. She hurt you because she was still hurting. She betrayed you because facing you meant facing the part of herself she wasn't ready to heal. In the tragedy, you're the one left holding the weight of a wound that wasn't even yours. But now you know. Her leaving wasn't about your worth. It was about her limit. And the moment you realize that, you stop asking why she changed, and you start asking, why did I stay so long in a love that couldn't even see me? They told you to love without limits, to forgive endlessly, to never give up on someone, no matter how much it hurts. But here's the truth no one told you. Unconditional love, without boundaries, isn't love. It's self-destruction. You stayed when she disrespected you. You stayed when she withdrew. You stayed when her words cut you deeper than silence ever could. Why? Because you thought loving her through it all would prove something. That if you loved hard enough, she'd finally see your worth, finally stay, finally change. But she didn't. Because you weren't showing her strength. You were showing her that she could violate your heart, and you'd still come back. That's not noble. That's emotional surrender. And somewhere deep inside, you started breaking, smiling through pain, calling it love, watching your soul shrink just to keep the illusion alive. But here's what you need to hear. Love isn't supposed to cost your identity, your voice, your peace. Unconditional love is beautiful when it flows in both directions. But when you give it to someone who only takes, who only wounds, who only stays comfortable while you bleed, it stops being love and becomes sacrifice without purpose. Because you don't prove love by how much you tolerate. You prove love to yourself by how much truth you're willing to stand in, even if it means standing alone. Most men don't fail the relationship. They fail the tests they never saw coming. See, she doesn't ask you, "Will you betray yourself to keep me?" She just watches. She watches what you tolerate. She watches how quickly you fold under pressure. She watches if you say yes when your body says no. And every time you bend, she loses a piece of respect. Not because she's cruel, but because, deep down, she wants to feel your center. Not your perfection, not your obedience, your center. The line you won't cross for anyone, even her, because that's what makes her feel safe. Not your compliments, not your good intentions, but the strength of a man who doesn't abandon himself. You think, if I'm kind enough, patient enough, flexible enough, she'll love me. But she doesn't want flexibility. She wants truth. She'll push you, not out of malice, but instinct, to see if the man standing in front of her is real. And when you fail that test, when you lie to yourself just to keep her near, she sees it, and the attraction fades, not because she wanted to leave, but because you showed her that even you don't believe you're enough without her. But what happens next is where most men break and few rise. You think the worst pain is losing her. It's not. The real pain is waking up next to her and not recognizing yourself anymore. That's what happens when you trade your truth for her attention. When you abandon your mission to orbit hers, you break your own code, not once, but slowly. One silent compromise at a time. You stop saying what you think. You stop doing what you love. You stop chasing what makes you dangerous, magnetic, alive. Until one day, you're just a shell, performing a version of masculinity you think she wants. Smiling, nodding, empty. And then you wonder, why does she seem distant? Why is the spark gone? Why don't I feel like a man anymore? Because she didn't kill that fire. You did. Not out of weakness, out of fear. But here's what you must understand. When you break your code, you break the trust she had in you. Not the surface trust, but the primal unspoken kind. The kind that says, this man knows who he is, and I can trust him to hold me, because he's already held himself. And when that disappears, so does the woman. Not because she stopped loving you, but because she realized you stopped loving the man you used to be. And what happens after this moment will determine everything. You thought love could fix her, that if you just stayed long enough, held her strong enough, forgave her deeply enough, she would finally become the woman you dreamed of. You told yourself, she's just wounded. She just needs to feel safe. She'll stop pushing me away once she sees I'm not like the rest. But here's the brutal truth. You can't love someone into healing if they're committed to bleeding. You were not her man. You were her bandage. a soft place to land between breakdowns, a gentle voice to cover the screams she never resolved. And while you bled trying to hold her together, she never once stopped to ask what was breaking in you. Because love, real love, doesn't demand you carry her wounds. It asks her to meet you in your strength, to rise into the fire with you, not collapse into your arms hoping you'll put her back together. But you ignored that, because you wanted to be the one who saved her, the exception, the proof that good men still exist. And in that mission, you lost your edge, your fire, your spine. You weren't being noble. You were trying to earn what should have been given freely. And that is what made you easy to leave. Because the moment a man makes her healing his mission, he stops being a mirror and becomes a medic. And no woman wants to kiss her medic. She wants to respect her equal. So if you're still holding out hope, still replaying the moments where she almost chose you, ask yourself this: was she ever rising into love with you, or just using you as a place to hide from her own reflection? Because no matter how much you gave, you can't carry someone who's addicted to their pain. And the longer you try, the more you bleed. She says she loves you. She hugs you tight. She calls you her rock. She thanks you for always being there. But deep down, you feel it. Something's missing, something vital. And it's not love, it's respect. Because a woman can love you with her words, while disrespecting you with her choices. She'll say she needs you, but never ask what you need. She'll cry in your arms, but flirt with chaos when you're not looking. She'll tell you that you're everything, then treat you like you're replaceable. And the worst part? You accept it. You justify it. You say, she's just confused. She's had a hard life. She doesn't know how to love. But here's the truth. Respect always comes before real love. And if she doesn't respect your boundaries, your mission, your masculine presence, then what she feels isn't love. It's emotional comfort. You're the warm bath after the storm, but she still dreams of lightning. You're the man she confides in, but not the one she truly follows. Because in her eyes, you're kind, you're safe, you're good, but you're not powerful. And that's the man she craves, a man she can't manipulate, a man she can't control, a man who doesn't need her validation because he already knows who he is. You tried to be everything, and in doing so, you became nothing she could truly trust. Because women don't trust a man who abandons himself to be chosen. They trust the man who chooses himself first. So if you've ever heard, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you," what she's really saying is, "I don't feel you. I don't see you. I don't respect you." And without respect, no love will ever last. You've been lied to. Told that being soft would make her stay. Told that being agreeable would make you a man. Told that love meant sacrifice, even if that sacrifice was you. But now, you know better. Because the man she truly desires isn't the man who chases her. It's the man who's already whole without her. He doesn't need her validation. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't mold himself into whatever she needs. Why? Because he's done the work. He's faced the void. He stood in front of the mirror and said, "I will not betray myself, not even for love." He walks alone if he must. He loses her if he must. But he never loses his core. He doesn't explain his worth. He doesn't apologize for his edges. he doesn't fear her silence, because his presence speaks louder than words. And when she tests him, with distance, with drama, with games, he doesn't react. He doesn't chase, he doesn't collapse. He watches, he waits. He lets the storm pass, because storms don't shake men who've already been through hell. And that's who he is now. Still, grounded, dangerous in his peace. Because love isn't something he needs. It's something he honors. And if it dishonors him, he walks. That's the man she'll follow. That's the man she'll respect. That's the man she'll never try to play. So if you're still wondering, how do I get her back? You're asking the wrong question. Ask this instead. How do I never lose myself again? Because when you stop trying to be chosen, you become unforgettable. And when you choose yourself fully, you attract a love that finally matches your depth. If something inside you broke while listening to this, good. That was the part of you still begging to be enough. The boy who thought love had to be earned through sacrifice, but now you see it. You were never too kind. You were just disconnected from your power. So if this spoke to you, you're already ahead of most men. Because awareness is the beginning of transformation. And this is only the start. The next truth you need to hear is what Carl Jung discovered about the shadow side of love, and why ignoring it will destroy every relationship you build. We talk about it in the next video. And once you see it, you'll never see her the same way again.